I'm back, still turning this chunk of wood that I cut out of the tree, rotten dead branch, cutting it out of the tree, turning it into a staff, if the wood's good enough. Just drawing together the different threads that we've been talking about over the last few videos on James chapter 4 verses 1 to 12. And as I was doing the study on it, it began to feel like what James was asking was all a bit too much. You know, if you've not been following along, look back. But basically, you know, what James asks us to do in this passage is to ask God only for those things that will help us to worship him or help us to do the ministry in his name, not just things that we want or that we think would make us happy. We're asked to not be in any way friends with the world, but to reject the world and find our place, our purpose, our fulfillment in God and only God, to submit to God and to live as Jesus did in submission to the will of the Father, never choosing our own path or the route to our own personal happiness or security, to speak to others always with love and mercy, and never using words to push others down or to bring judgment against them. And I was like, this is heavy stuff. And Jesus in Matt 11:30 says, "For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." But here James seems to be making the yoke really heavy, and perhaps rightly so. The Old Testament and the book of Revelation show God as this being of holiness and righteousness, a pure light that if we were to look at God as he truly is, we'd be utterly destroyed. And that's why Jesus came. You know, if I'd ever prepared for a test thinking I'm going to get 100% in this test, or I want to get 100% in this test, I'm sure I would have done better than what I did. And I think James here in this letter is setting the goal for Christian living in humbling clarity, saying we can't do this. But actually that's why Jesus came, because he has already passed the test. He's already got 100%, and it's in him, you know, that we have access to the Father and through his grace. But James is saying, but this is the standard. This is what you're called to live to. This is where you should be aiming for. So my prayer for me and for you is that we would learn to keep our eyes fixed high on the standard and trust in the grace that keeps us. Amen. Thank you.